December 5th, 1945. 5 military aircraft take off from Florida on a routine training mission. 2 hours later, the lead pilot's voice crackles through the radio.
"We are completely lost."
14 men, 5 planes, gone. A rescue aircraft launches to find them. It vanishes too. No wreckage, no bodies, no explanation. The official report concludes, it was as if they had flown to Mars. This isn't science fiction. This actually happened. And it's just one incident in a pattern that's been repeating for over 500 years in the same patch of ocean. Over 50 ships, more than 20 aircraft, hundreds of lives, all swallowed by an area that doesn't even officially exist on any map. Some call it cursed. Others say it's a portal to another dimension. Scientists have blamed everything from alien abductions to methane explosions to underwater pyramids from Atlantis. But here's what nobody tells you. We've had the answer all along. And when you see the actual data, you'll realize the real mystery isn't what's happening in the Bermuda Triangle. It's why we've been lying to ourselves about it for decades. I'm Mr. Nerth, and today we're exposing the truth behind the world's most famous mystery. Buckle up, this is going to get weird. Here's the thing that makes the Bermuda Triangle so unsettling. It doesn't officially exist. You won't find it on any map. The US government doesn't recognize it. And yet, for hundreds of years, people have been vanishing in this very specific patch of ocean. So where exactly is this phantom zone? Unofficially, the Bermuda Triangle sits in the North Atlantic Ocean, roughly bounded by Miami, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico. But here's where it gets weird. Nobody can actually agree on its exact boundaries. Estimates range from 500,000 to 1.5 million square miles. That's 1 million square miles of uncertainty right there. The shape varies too. Sometimes it's drawn as an isosceles triangle, sometimes scalene, sometimes it looks more like a rhombus. Maybe Bermuda dodecahedron just didn't have the same ring to it. And this is the first clue that something fishy is going on. If we can't even agree on where the triangle is, how can we accurately count the disappearances within it? But I'm getting ahead of myself, because the stories are absolutely wild. Let's rewind to 1492. Christopher Columbus is sailing across the Atlantic, searching for a western route to Asia. After 10 grueling weeks at sea, he finally spots land in the Bahamas. He's just become the first European to sail through what we now call the Bermuda Triangle and live to tell about it. And tell about it he did. Extracts from Columbus's log, compiled after his death, describe some genuinely bizarre occurrences. In September 1492, he noticed something wrong with his compass. His log reads,
"The compass is northwested, and in the morning they northeastward somewhat."
Days later, he described the sea rising to great heights. But most eerily, he reported seeing a mysterious light on the horizon, like a small wax candle that rose and lifted up, appearing and disappearing like some phantom signal. Imagine hearing these stories 500 years ago, when America hadn't even been discovered yet, when so little about the world was known. You can see how the legends began. Fast forward to 1881, and we get one of the Triangle's creepiest tales, the story of the Ellen Austin. This cargo ship was sailing from Liverpool to New York, packed with passengers hoping to start new lives in America. The captain, trying to save time, took a shortcut through the stormy Sargasso Sea, right through the heart of what we now call the Bermuda Triangle. And that's when they saw it, a ship, sailing alone, completely silent. No crew. But strangely, its hold was full of valuable cargo, sitting there like bait. The crew of the Ellen Austin couldn't resist. They decided to salvage the ship and sent some of their bravest men aboard to sail it back to New York alongside them. Both ships set off together. Then came the storm. Howling winds and massive waves tore the two vessels apart. When the weather cleared, the Ellen Austin crew frantically searched for their comrades. They spotted the ship. Captain Griffin called out, silence. They boarded the vessel. Their crewmates had vanished completely, without a trace. But Captain Griffin wasn't giving up on that cargo. He ordered a second crew to board the ghost ship. For several nights, everything seemed fine. Both ships sailed toward New York. Then the fog rolled in, thick, blinding. The Ellen Austin came to a standstill. When the fog finally lifted, the ghost ship was gone. The second crew, gone. The treasure, gone. Never seen again. Now, this makes for an incredible story, but here's the twist. There really was a ship called the Ellen Austin that sailed between Liverpool and New York. However, Lloyd's of London's Register of Ships confirms the 1881 journey went without incident. So where did this legend come from, and why does it persist? The Bermuda Triangle gained serious, documented attention after a tragedy in March 1918 that's still unexplained to this day. The USS Cyclops, a massive 542-foot Navy cargo ship, departed Rio de Janeiro bound for Baltimore. On board, over 300 men and 10,000 tons of manganese ore. After an unplanned stop in Barbados, she headed north into the Triangle. She was never seen again. No SOS, no distress call, no wreckage. Despite an extensive search, nothing was ever found. This was the largest loss of life in U.S. naval history not directly related to combat. President Woodrow Wilson said grimly, "Only God and the sea know what happened to the great ship." The Santa Fe magazine described it in 1920. She disappeared as though some gigantic monster of the sea had grabbed her, men and all, and sent her into the depths of the ocean. But it gets stranger. In 1941, two of the Cyclops' sister ships vanished without a trace along nearly the same route. 3 identical ships, same route, all disappeared, no explanation. If the Cyclops tragedy was disturbing, what happened in December 1945 would cement the Bermuda Triangle's reputation forever. 5 Navy torpedo bombers, Flight 19, took off from Fort Lauderdale for a routine training mission. 14 men total, experienced pilots, perfect weather. What could go wrong? Everything. The mission leader's compass malfunctioned, or so he thought. Radio transmissions became increasingly panicked. "We cannot be sure where we are." 20 minutes later, command was mysteriously transferred to another pilot. Then came the final transmission from Flight 19. "It looks like we are entering white water. We are completely lost." All 5 planes vanished. But the nightmare wasn't over. A rescue plane with a 13-man crew was sent to find them. It disappeared too. A massive week-long search turned up nothing. 0 wreckage, 0 bodies, 0 evidence. The official Navy report stated it was as if they had flown to Mars. The mystery wasn't just claiming ships anymore. It had reached upward, snatching planes from the sky. December 1948. A British passenger plane with 30 people disappears while flying from the Azores to Bermuda. 1 year later, the BSAA Star Ariel, the same type of aircraft, vanishes while flying from Bermuda to Kingston, Jamaica. Neither plane was ever found. Pattern after pattern, ship after ship, plane after plane, all in the same mysterious region. Something needed to connect the dots. Enter Vincent Gaddis, an American author who, in February 1964, published an article in Argosy magazine that would change everything. He drew the lines: Florida to Bermuda, Bermuda to Puerto Rico, Puerto Rico back to Florida through the Bahamas, and he gave it a name: the Bermuda Triangle. Within this area, he wrote, most of the total vanishments have occurred. The timing was perfect. This was the Cold War era. The Cuban Missile Crisis had just happened. Conspiracy theories were everywhere. NASA was filling in the blanks of space exploration, but here was a mystery right here on Earth that defied explanation. The world went absolutely wild for it. Books flooded the market. The most successful was Charles Berlitz's The Bermuda Triangle, published in 1974. It sold 20 million copies in over 30 languages. And Berlitz didn't hold back. His theories were bonkers. First, he suggested that the lost city of Atlantis exists beneath the triangle, pulling ships and planes into its murky depths with some kind of ancient technology. He claimed this advanced civilization left behind energy sources or magnetic fields that interfere with modern vessels. Then there was the alien abduction theory. Berlitz proposed that extraterrestrials use the triangle as their personal Earth hunting ground, plucking unsuspecting travelers from the sea and sky. This theory was so popular that Steven Spielberg depicted the Flight 19 crew as alien abductees in Close Encounters of the Third Kind. But he went even further. Berlitz theorized that the triangle might be a gateway to another dimension, a tear in the fabric of space and time itself. Ships and planes weren't being destroyed, he argued. They were being transported to different time periods or parallel universes, vanishing from our reality entirely. Berlitz pointed to one particularly eerie detail. Most missing vessels never sent distress calls. They simply vanished mid-journey, as if plucked from existence in an instant. To millions of readers, this was proof. The Bermuda Triangle wasn't just dangerous, it was supernatural. But we're a science channel here at Mr. Nerth, so let's look at what scientists actually think is happening. One of the most popular scientific explanations involves magnetic anomalies. The Bermuda Triangle is supposedly one of only 2 places on Earth where compasses point to true north instead of magnetic north. The other is the Devil's Sea off Japan. Could this cause navigation disasters? Here's how compasses work. Earth's magnetic field draws the needle toward the magnetic North Pole, which constantly shifts. The geographic North Pole stays put, about 1,200 miles away from magnetic north. The difference is called magnetic declination. There's an imaginary line called the agonic line, where true north and magnetic north align perfectly. In the early 18th century, this line did pass through the Bermuda Triangle. But here's the problem. It doesn't anymore. The agonic line has drifted westward and now sits in the Gulf of Mexico. Plus, experienced pilots and ship captains know about magnetic declination. They compensate for it. It's Navigation 101. Another theory focuses on rogue waves. These are real and terrifying. Abnormally large waves that can reach 100 feet in height. They're rare, about 1 in every 10,000 waves, but they happen. The first one ever recorded by instruments was the Draupner wave in 1995 in the North Sea, measuring 84 feet tall. Enough to swallow a ship whole. Could rogue waves explain disappearances? Possibly, especially if they struck without warning and left no survivors to report what happened. Then there's the Gulf Stream. NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, points to this as a major factor. The Gulf Stream runs right along the triangle's western edge. It's incredibly swift and turbulent, moving faster than 4 or 5 knots per hour in some areas. That's 300 times faster than the Amazon River. For inexperienced sailors, it's a nightmare. It can throw vessels hundreds of miles off course, and it can quickly erase any evidence of disaster, sweeping debris far from the incident site. The newest scientific theory involves methane explosions, and it's genuinely fascinating. In 2016, researchers at the Arctic University of Norway discovered massive craters off Norway's coast, up to half a mile wide and 150 feet deep. They believe these were caused by explosive releases of methane trapped in ocean sediments. Imagine giant underwater burps of death. The theory goes that methane could suddenly erupt from the seafloor, reducing water density so rapidly that ships lose buoyancy and sink instantly. The gas rising into the air could even cause planes to crash. Russian scientist Igor Yeltsov jumped on this theory, connecting it directly to the Bermuda Triangle. Media outlets loved it. But here's the thing, it's highly speculative. Possible? Sure. Likely? Not really. Let's not forget just the basic reality of really bad weather. The Bermuda Triangle sits in one of the most hurricane-prone regions on Earth. Bermuda gets hit by a damaging tropical cyclone every 6 or 7 years. Florida has been struck by approximately 500 tropical and subtropical cyclones. Since 1851, only 18 hurricane seasons have passed without a storm hitting Florida.
Puerto Rico gets hammered by hurricanes 4 or 5 times a year. Even today, with all our tracking technology, these storms cause massive devastation. Imagine sailing through this region in the 1800s with nothing but a compass and hope.
All these theories sound plausible. Magnetic anomalies, rogue waves, methane eruptions, killer storms. But here's the thing, none of them matter. Because when you actually look at the data, real hard aviation and marine casualty data from the past several decades, you discover something shocking. There is nothing unusual happening in the Bermuda Triangle. Let me say that again. Statistically, the Bermuda Triangle is completely ordinary. Researchers analyzed the Marine Casualty and Pollution database covering over 150,000 incidents from 1982 to 2015. After filtering, they had about 9,000 incidents to examine. Of these, 361 occurred in the Bermuda Triangle. That's just 4%. The causes of casualties in the Triangle mirrored worldwide patterns almost exactly. Actually, there were slightly fewer capsizing events, probably because the area is close to major trading ports where conditions are calmer. Here's the kicker. Between 1982 and 2015, 0 incidents classified as disappearances were reported in the Bermuda Triangle. 0. YouTuber Johnny Harris dug even deeper. He obtained shipping data from Lloyd's List for 2021. Globally, 1.8% of all vessels experienced some kind of casualty during their voyage that year. Of the 8,634 boats that passed through the Bermuda Triangle, only 2 had casualties. That's 0.02%. According to this data, the danger of disappearing in the Bermuda Triangle is 90 times lower than the global average. Lloyd's of London and the US Coast Guard back this up. They state that the number of ships going missing in the Triangle is the same as anywhere else in the world on a percentage basis. Over the past decade, annual shipping losses have decreased by 70%. And when incidents do occur, the Bermuda Triangle doesn't even make the top 10 most dangerous regions. The worst areas? South China Sea, Indochina, Indonesia, and the Philippines. The East Mediterranean and Black Sea come in second. The National Transportation Safety Board maintains an aviation accident database covering all investigated accidents from 1962 to the present. The pattern is the same. Most incidents occurred during landing and takeoff, primarily in the Bahamas. Only a few in-flight incidents resulted in fatalities. The only documented commercial flight accident was attributed to poor weather-related decisions by the pilot. Since 1965, there's been exactly 1 aviation incident over Bermuda. JetBlue flight N913JB experienced severe turbulence, resulting in 1 injury. That's it. Remember that infamous Flight 19 disappearance? Turns out the transcripts tell a very different story than the legends. Lieutenant Taylor, the lead pilot, thought his compass had malfunctioned. He believed he was above the Florida Keys when ground staff analysis later showed he was actually southeast near the Bahamas. Instead of turning west toward Florida, he flew east, deeper into the Atlantic Ocean. He got lost. According to Australian scientist Carl Kruzelnicki, Taylor had gotten lost on previous training flights too. This wasn't a supernatural mystery, it was human error. Tragic, yes. Mysterious? No. So what's actually going on? The Bermuda Triangle sits in one of the most heavily traveled shipping lanes in the world. Thousands of vessels pass through it every year. It also happens to be in one of the most hurricane-prone regions on the planet. Over centuries, ships have sunk there. Planes have crashed there, people have died there, but not at any rate higher than anywhere else with similar traffic and similar weather. The mystery of the Bermuda Triangle was created by selective reporting. Only mysterious incidents were highlighted, while thousands of safe passages were ignored. Stories were exaggerated. Missing ships that were later found were still counted as triangle disappearances. The boundaries kept shifting. By moving the triangle's borders, authors could include or exclude incidents to fit their narrative. There was a lack of context. Raw numbers were compared without accounting for traffic volume or weather patterns. And the timing was perfect. The triangle legend exploded during an era obsessed with conspiracies and the unexplained, right in the middle of the Cold War when people were primed to believe in hidden dangers and government cover-ups. I know this might be disappointing. There are no aliens, no portals, no ancient Atlantean technology pulling planes from the sky. The Bermuda Triangle is just ocean. Dangerous ocean, yes, with bad weather and strong currents. But statistically, it's actually safer than many other parts of the world. You're more likely to have an incident sailing from Dover to Calais than crossing the Bermuda Triangle. The real mystery isn't what's happening in the triangle. It's how a collection of tragic but explainable incidents, combined with sensational storytelling and perfectly timed conspiracy theories, created one of the most enduring myths of the modern age. Human error, bad weather, heavy traffic. That's the truth. Sorry, aliens. But here's the good news. The curse has been lifted. The Bermuda Triangle is, well, fabulously unremarkable. And honestly, in a world full of actual mysteries and real dangers, maybe we could use a little more unremarkable. Thanks for watching, Mr. Nerth. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the truth behind the legend, hit that subscribe button. We've got plenty more mysteries to investigate, and I promise, we always follow the evidence, no matter where it leads. Even if it leads to the most boring answer possible. See you in the next one.